Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody today. We have got a major document dump. Like I had said in my last live regarding the Bryan Kohberger case, we were going to see this as the trial approaches just a few months down the line. And we have got news for you. We have got more information on what happened between 4 a.m. and the time 911 was called. We got text messages. We got all kinds of stuff to show you. We also got proof that Bryan Kohberger purchased the K-bar knife. We have got it all for you, you guys. We're not going to get through all the documents today because there's about 20 of them that dumped, but we're going to get through the important ones. I know a lot of people had, ripped me a new one saying, you can't prove he had a K-bar. Well, guess what? We've got the documents now. And I told you, the defense was running scared. They knew everything that the prosecution had. We didn't know because a lot of things were under seal. Well, now a lot of things are being put out, right? And we're going to see it right here, right now. Yes, I got it all ready for you, Kate Bell. It's all been sealed. I sealed it and everything yesterday. I've got it wrapped around a sponge tube so it doesn't get damaged. Got it wrapped again in protective coating, a dust protective coat. It's ready to go, but we need to hook up and talk because I'm going to be going out tomorrow. So I want to get it out to you tomorrow. Okay, and hello, K Mitch. Thank you for being here. Kate Bell, too. Thank you for being here. Nana, Dawn, Courtney. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're just going to give it a bit for people to get in here so we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. I've got the documents up. Let me just start sharing this with you. Share. There we go. So here is the first document, you guys. This is going to be the text messages. We've got a lot in here. Like there is a lot more of what was being said, when people showed up, who was on the phones. Everything is here. It's 8 pages, as you can see up top here. And Bryan Kohberger's defense, they want this out. They want all the evidence that the prosecution has, they want out. We've got better pictures of where the cameras were. We've got it all right here, you guys. So we're going to go through as much as we can today. We're going to go through the text messages. We're going to go through the purchase of the K-bar. We're going to go through the documents as we can, because we could be here until midnight tonight. And I do have a premiere that is at 4 o'clock. This is the one I told you is the lead investigator from the Sophia Franklin case reached out to me after seeing my read on her and said ooh, we got some information here. And I'll read it to you what he said. I did print it out, but I don't know if I want to share this guy's name and everything. Let me see. Let me see if I can Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can do it this way. Let me just rip a couple pieces of paper here, you guys. Okay, let me just do this. And let me just do this. And then I will show you it. I don't know how to download. Hang on, let me just stick this on here a little bit so it covers it so I can show you, because I had like nasty, uh, nasty, hang on, let me just do this. Comments. Ah, you liar, you liar. No detective or investigator is going to reach out to you. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you guys. I covered up his name. Let me get my glasses on because I printed it out. I was trying to save it to a file, but I can't figure out how to do it. So let me stop sharing this for a minute and I'll put my camera on and get all my other papers out of the way. Okay, so here's the letter. Okay. I've covered up his name, and this is from beaverdam dot, what is it, wi.gov right here. And then this is where it's sent from. Okay. Beaver Dam Police Department. I'll read you what it says. I am the lead detective in the Sophia Franklin missing persons case. I watched your reading on this case this morning. I also noticed it was from about 2 weeks ago. Therefore, there are some things that you said in your reading that seem to be consistent with our findings, but we still have not located her. You mentioned Tennessee as a possible location for her. We obviously look into every possible lead that we get, but I don't believe we have come across any specific address or locations in Tennessee. Now, I understand that the information you come up with won't hold up in court, but I wondered if there's any additional information you can provide me. I really do appreciate your time. Not sure how many investigators reach out to you, but it sure can't hurt at this point. So here it is right there from the Franklin Power Beaver Dam Police Department. So there it is there. And I did come up with a location. Prayers for you, K. Mitch. I hope, my love, you feel better soon. Marie Burks, oh my God, who said that? I don't know. I had never seen the names before. So they could be just trolls, but you guys know I won't put anything on here that isn't true. I still have the email, like on my my Above and Beyond Ancestor email, but I printed it out just so I could show you. I was hoping to be able to white out his name, but anyway, that's the letter I received from them, and apparently, I have emailed back and forth with him. And apparently I came out 2 weeks prior to information that they had just got. So, it's nice when you get stuff like that. It's not the first time I've had detectives or investigators reach out to me. But it's always nice, you know what I mean? So anyway, regardless of that, that is going to be premiering at 4 p.m. today. The read, the location that I got where they're going to be, I do have it, but I'm not going to be releasing it until the police have had a chance to go and check it out. Is that Franklin, Tennessee, Willow? What are you talking about? Franklin, Tennessee. I got, in my first read that I did on her, I got Tennessee. So then they asked me, can I go in and get more information? Like, Tennessee's huge, right? And I did. I got an area, you guys. I showed it in the video today. You'll see. I went in my bag here. I've got, whoops, you guys can't see. I got to take this off again. Oh, okay, hang on. Okay, so I've got a bag of letters here, and I got 5 letters that came out. And I put them into EI because I was drawn to an area, but I couldn't see anything with these letters in the name. So when I put it into AI, I got a place. I got a hit. So, okay, so let's get back to this. You guys will see that 4 o'clock this afternoon. It is going to be premiering. I will be in chat to chit chat with you guys. Oh, where the cop is? No, he's in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Beaver Dam Police Department, 123 Park Avenue, Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. That's where this lead investigator or lead detective. I'm the lead detective in the Sophia Franklin missing persons case. Okay, hang on a sec, you guys. I gotta take this. Sorry about that, you guys. That was my insurance agent. I told her I'd have to call her back. But anyway, okay, so let's get through this. That premieres at 4 o'clock today. I will be in chat to watch the read along with you, but let's get through what we can here. I'm going to have to quit. I've got about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours. So let's see what we can get through. Okay. So here's the first one, you guys. Defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, text messages and testimony. Okay, so comes now Bryan C. Kohberger by and through his attorneys of records and objects to the state's motion in limine to admit text messaging as requested in its motion. We're not going to read through all of this. If you want to read through it, you can pause and you can read it. We're just going to get to the text messages. Okay, so here we go. Mr. Kohberger herein provides a more complete but not exhaustive, so there's more than just this, okay? View of DM and BF, so Dylan and Bethany's communications and interactions with social media during the hours established by the state. Objection to state's MIL text exhibits 1 and 2, DM and BF phone record for phone activity during the state's timeline. Hello, everybody. Hello, Nana. Hello, Regina. You're very welcome, Regina. I think that was me. Okay, so November 13th at 2:10 in the morning. So this is well before the red drums happen. Dylan texts EG, whoever EG is. I don't know who EG is. I'm going to get a piece of paper in case you guys can fill me in on this as to who these people are. Okay, so DM is Dylan. BF is Bethany. I don't know who EG is. Does anybody know who EG is? He's an Uber driver. So Dylan texts this Uber driver inquiring if he was driving. That was at 2:10. At 2:13, so 3 minutes later, that Uber driver, EG, texts to DM confirming he was driving. MM is Madison Mogan. Let me just write that down. Madison Mogan calls Bethany Funk at 2:53. At 3:51, so an hour later. Now, don't forget, around this time, Madison Mogan was also, her and Kaylee, so KG is Kaylee, we're trying to get a hold of Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, right? So from 2:53 when Madison tries to call Bethany, or she did call her. At 3:51, Dylan creates a new contact in her phone. So did Dylan Did Madison give Dylan Kaylee's boyfriend's phone number to see if maybe he would answer to Dylan calling? We don't know. We don't know who this new contact is. I'm sure we'll find out. Bethany calls Dylan at 4:19. Bethany Funk calls Dylan. At 4:20, Dylan calls Zana. XK is Xana Kernoodle. Okay? So don't forget, right around this time, when she calls Kaylee and Xana, is right, and Bethany calls Dylan. What did Bethany say to Dylan? I hear somebody walking, running, somebody's making, I don't know. We don't know. But there's a phone call from Bethany to Dylan at 4:19. That's right about when the perpetrator is leaving out through that back door. So Dylan now knows that guy, whoever he is, if it's Bryan or somebody else, is going out the back door. So she knows this guy has left. So with all this commotion that had been going on when she was opening and closing her bedroom door, she knew that this guy had been in the house. She heard somebody whimpering and crying. Now she sees this guy leaving. It's like, oh my God. Okay. So did Bethany hear something too and called Dylan? Obviously something happened in this phone call that Dylan turns around at 4:20 and calls Xana. 4:20 and 20 seconds. She calls Kaylee. Dylan calls Kaylee. At 4:20:28, Dylan calls Bethany for 41 seconds. They talk. But look at this, like nobody's answering. Because there's only 20 seconds, 7 seconds to, Bethany calls Dylan, and then Dylan calls Xana, and then Kaylee. Dylan calls Bethany. 4:21, Bethany calls Xana because she didn't answer for Dylan. Maybe she'll answer to her. Dylan then calls Madison. Madison obviously isn't going to answer, right? So then Bethany calls Madison. Both Dylan and Bethany are trying to get a hold of the other roommates. Bethany then calls Ethan. EC is Ethan Chapin. So let's write that down. Then Dylan to Bethany. No one is answering, so this must be a text. No one is answering. Dylan to Bethany. I'm really confused right now. 4:22. Dylan to Kaylee. Kaylee. So she must have texted Kaylee and said, Kaylee. Dylan to Kaylee. What's going on? Hello, TK Sass, Regina, Marie. So then Bethany, an outgoing message in Snapchat. Bethany to Dylan. Yeah, dude, what the F? Because by 4:23, both Bethany and Dylan have tried to call the other roommates and they're not answering. They even tried to call Ethan. They're not answering. Bethany to Dylan. Xana was wearing all black, like a question. Dylan to Bethany. I'm freaking out right now. Dylan to Bethany. No, it's like a ski mask almost. Bethany. STF. Shut the F up. Bethany. Actually? Dylan to Bethany, like he had something over his head and mouth. Dylan to Bethany. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. This is within 4 minutes of this guy going out the back door, of her seeing him going out the back door. As soon as she sees him go out the back door, she started trying to call all the roommates. She called Bethany. Bethany tried to call the roommates. They start texting. Bethany, so am I. Dylan to Bethany, phone is going to die. F. Bethany, BR. They made a mistake there. That should have been an F. Bethany to Dylan, come to my room. Bethany, run down here. Dylan, so still only 4 minutes later, you guys, Dylan calls Ethan. Dylan Mortensen to Bethany Funk, Bethany Funk to Dylan Mortensen. So these must be messages or call. If it was calls, I'm assuming that they would have said calls. So maybe these are messages to each other that the defense didn't want us to see. So at 4:27, so 7 minutes later, Dylan makes an outgoing call. Dylan at 4:27:30, Dylan sends an outgoing message. At 4:27:40, Dylan sends an outgoing message in Snapchat. So there's two of them here. So is she trying to message the roommates now on Snapchat? Dylan calls Kaylee again at 4:27:47. Dylan calls Xana again at 4:28:44. Bethany calls Madison again. Bethany tries to call Madison again. Bethany calls Kaylee. Bethany calls Kaylee again. DM texts Kaylee. Bethany accessed Snapchat. So you can see what they're doing. They're sending messages on different forums, everything. They're calling, they're messaging, they're texting. They're not answering. Okay? Bethany accesses Instagram. Okay, so that was at 4:37. So what happened after that? Did they just say, okay, they got to be sleeping? They'll answer us in the morning, right? So 3 hours later, Bethany calls her dad twice at 7:30 and then at 8. So maybe he didn't answer here at 7:30. She calls again at 8. Bethany calls another number at 8. So maybe the father didn't answer. Bethany Funk calls home. So maybe the home phone number instead of dad's cell phone. Maybe this is a cell phone. And then she calls her mom at 8:02. She calls her dad back. So they're not answering either, right? So from 8:05 to 10, Dylan is on Instagram. So what is she doing? Right? For 2 hours, they're downstairs. Like they've only had 3 hours sleep. They're probably freaking out, right? Between 8:41 and 8:42 in the morning, Bethany Funk takes some photos. What are those photos of? We don't know. At 9:04, mom texts Bethany. So did Bethany send her mom some photos? So Bethany's mom finally calls her back at 9:04. At 10 o'clock to 10:01, Dylan messages, and there's incoming and outgoing Snapchat messages. Dylan is also on Instagram. Dylan is also on Indeed. It looks like she's trying to contact people somehow, any way she can. Dylan gets messages incoming and outgoing from Snapchat. So is she messaging other people saying, hey, can you guys try and call these other roommates and see if they'll answer you because they're not answering us? Do they think that we're mad at them because of all the noise last night? We don't know what they're saying. We can only imagine, right? But they're going to have all this come court, okay? So here again, 10:23. Come on, they got to be up by now, right? So we've tried messaging them, maybe seeing that their messages have not even been opened or responded to. So Dylan here at 10:23 starts texting Madison again. Did she then go on Instagram and try to message her there? DM messages incoming and outgoing on Snapchat. Okay, so GM texts BF. Who is GM? JM. Who is JM? Anybody know who JM is? Let me know in the chat. So JM, I'm assuming JM gets involved because of all this Snapchat activity, right? That DM is doing, right? Well, K-Bell, what I think is happening here is I think that they thought, okay, they're just passed out. They came home drunk. They didn't go to sleep until we heard them up there till almost 4 a.m. So they're probably still passed out sleeping, is what I think they thought. But they're trying to wake them up by all these text messages and everything. So when Dylan goes on all these Snapchat and Instagram and all this, are people now responding to her? Is this one of those people, JM, text Bethany Funk? So between 10:56 and 11:29, so between 11, almost 11 a.m. and 12 and 11:30 a.m., Dylan's on Instagram and messaging on Snapchat. So I do think that they're trying to reach out to everybody, like, hey, you guys, come on, let's blow up their phones and wake them up, right? Like, to me, why didn't you just go and knock on their doors? I don't get that part of it. I don't know. To me, I would have went upstairs and banged on their door. Like, hey, you guys, what the hell is going on, right? Willow live on the Stearns case right now. Hello, Unspoken Butterfly. I will check that out after Unspoken Butterfly, because we're right in the middle of the heat of this. I'm getting to the K-bar, his purchase of the K-bar knife next. Okay, so this is what I think is happening. And now all these people are talking amongst themselves. I just don't know why they didn't get in their head, like, okay, I'm going up and I'm going to bang on Kaylee's door or Maddie's door and find out what the hell was going on last night. Who the hell is this guy that left, right? But they didn't. At 10:56 to 11:29, she's on Instagram. So she's on Instagram and Snapchat. Again, at 11:29, Dylan tries to text Kaylee. Right, especially after seeing some robber guy, right? Dylan's on Instagram and messaging on Snapchat. DM's on Yik Yak. DM's on TikTok. DM is messaging on Snapchat. DM and dad texts. So, did something happen at this point right here when Dylan started talking with her dad? Did her dad say, look it, figure out what's going on, right? Bethany calls JM. Who is JM? JM texts Dylan. So whoever this JM is, this person knows both Bethany and Dylan. Dylan is on Instagram. And here we go again. At 11:50, Dylan calls EA. Who is EA? Who is EA? JM, who we don't know who that is, texts DM. BF, so Bethany then texts GM. So this GM is texting with both Dylan and Bethany. GM texts Bethany at 11:51. JM texts BF. BF texts JM. JM texts BF. So they're going back and forth here in texts from 11:49, and I think they were doing it up here too, because I seen this JF up here too somewhere. But we're gonna say from JM from 11:49. These texts start, right? So here we go. They're still texting. JM texts Bethany 3 texts. Dylan is on Instagram. BF calls 911, Bethany Funk. So something in these conversations, Bethany is told to call 911, and that's at 11:56. So they talk for about 8-9. They text back and forth. Dylan tries to call Ethan again. They're trying to contact people. It doesn't work. So at 11:56, Bethany finally calls 911. Unspoken Butterfly, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're going to see Unspoken Butterfly if you're around 4 p.m. Eastern today. There is a lead investigator that reached out to me to get more information on the Sophia Franklin case. And that's going to premiere at 4 o'clock. If you're around for that, come on in. Be nice to see you. But thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support of the channel. It shows me that you guys like this stuff, okay? So the state has selected text messaging as excited utterances and present sense impression. The totality of circumstances defeat the state's request. Bethany and Dylan text each other a handful of times, and then they were in the same bedroom. They were together with the ability to talk to each other. They were not asleep for 8 hours. The messages the state seeks admission as of exceptions to hearsay began with a call and a message about being confused. Well, that's not true that they were asleep for 8 hours, right? Because it seems that everything stopped at 4:37, and they finally they got up at the last message to show that they were awake was at 4:30. So 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. That's 7 hours, 7.5 hours. But they didn't sleep for 7.5 hours, because I feel from 4:30 to 7:30, they maybe slept. That's only 3 hours. And then they were up, right? So they were not asleep for 8 hours. The messages the state seeks admission of as exceptions to hearsay began with a call and a message about being confused. After texting each other and unsuccessfully speaking with any of their roommates, the pair were together. The state is looking at the messages with the benefit of hindsight. The analyst has to be done in the moment the utterances were made. Text messages in this case. Despite her stated fear of leaving her room, she does so and joins Bethany downstairs. To get to Bethany's bedroom, Dylan passed the front door of the residence. Bethany was steps from the front door. Neither of them left the house. Neither of them called friends, family, or law enforcement for help. That's not true, right? There we go. Marie Burks, my sister from a different Mista, a member for 40 months. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Marie, so much. My throat, hang on. Oh my goodness. I hope I blocked that. I was choking like, oh my gosh. Let me get a cough drop, you guys. I know I've got a bunch of them here somewhere. Here they are. I'm getting that tingle in my throat. Hopefully the Halls helps. Okay. So that was not true. Neither of them called friends, family, or law enforcement for help. That's not true. Because it looks like up here they're reaching out and like, what do we do? What should we do? She calls her dad. So that they didn't call friends or family, that's BS. Instead, both have a substantial amount of activity beginning in earnest less than 4 hours after DM made her way to Bethany's room. Beginning in earnest less than 4 hours after. So Bethany and DM communicate with friends and parents, and DM is on social media. Well, which is it? Which is it, Anne? Because you just said neither of them called friends or family or law enforcement for help. Well, they did, because Bethany ends up calling 911 right here. We know up here, Dylan's calling her dad. Bethany's talking to her mom. They're talking to all kinds of friends. Like probably asking, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Right? So, but then they turn around and say Bethany and Dylan communicate with friends and parents, and Dylan's on social media. Like, which is it? The second grouping of messages state claim fit with the exception of the hearsay rule are those from Dylan to her roommates beginning at 10:23 a.m. 6 hours later. The state claims Dylan woke up and realized her roommates had not responded to her earlier attacks. I could see that happening. The state is wrong. Dylan was awake. She was messaging on Snapchat and she was on Instagram and she texted with her dad. Yeah, that's after they woke up. And this is not an exhaustive list of activity on her phone. She was with Bethany, who was also communicating with her parents and then later her friends. See, here we go again. You're saying that they did do this. They did communicate with their parents and friends. But up here, you're saying neither of them called friends, family, or law enforcement for help. I don't know. Mr. Kohberger urges the court to review the state's request with consideration of the complete picture. The state has asked the court to look at a timeline, and Mr. Kohberger urges the court to look at everything that occurred during the timeline. The state's motion should be denied. Right? Like, they were freaked out. I just don't get why they wouldn't have gone and knocked on one of their doors. Like, okay, look at you guys. Get the F up. You guys kept us up till 4 a.m. We're freaked out now because now we've seen this guy leave at 4 a.m. and we started trying to get a hold of you as soon as this guy leaves. Like, the guy just didn't walk out of your bedroom and you guys fall asleep. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Because it seems she tries to contact the other roommates just after she sees BK walking out the back door, right? Nobody's answering. Like, if you had somebody over, they're leaving, you're not falling asleep right away unless they're leaving because you passed out or because they took your life, right? But so to me, it would be like, okay, I'd try calling and messaging and messaging and messaging. Okay, maybe they're still passed out sleeping. But if it's, I would be that freaked out after like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I would go and start banging on their doors. Like, get the F up. You kept us up till 4 a.m. Get up. Tell us what was going on, right? But I do believe during all this time, they were talking to friends and everything. Like, have you guys heard anything? What'd you guys do? Did you see them last night? They're trying to figure out what the hell could have happened. But in this is what and this is just me because that's just who I am. It's like, okay, look at you son bitches kept me up to 4 a.m. I'm getting your asses up now. But these are also very young. I'm 61 years old. These are very young college students, right? So I don't know. But at some point, when Bethany calls, because Dylan's on Instagram, JM texts Bethany 3 texts. Bethany calls, like, did they call, say maybe one or text one of Ethan's friends and say, hey, come on over and see if you can get him up, go bang on the door or whatever. We're not doing it. We don't want to get in shit. We don't want to get yelled at. You guys come over and do it. And one of them, find them. Or did Bethany finally say, screw this, I'm going upstairs? And like peeked her head up the stairs around that little half wall and seen Xana laying on the floor and thought she was just passed out. We don't know, right? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Here we go. Now, this is 29 pages. 29 pages, you guys. I'm not reading through 29 pages, but I'm going to show you the important parts here. So this is the state's response to the defendant's motion in limine number 9. So the defense wants this thrown out, not to be able to be used at trial. So I'm not going to read through this because it goes through the facts, that what happened and everything else. Let's get to the K-bar. And I had a lot of people coming at me saying, you can't prove he bought a K-bar. It wasn't his knife, blah, 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 blah. Well, the defense is trying to get this out for a reason, right? And just as I was thinking, you guys, as we're going to see in these documents, remember I said, I bet you he tried to maybe get another one to replace the K-bar, because I said, well, if they're saying he bought a K-bar and you guys searched, you guys got to remember this from some of my past lives. My question was, before this information came out, was, if I was the prosecution, okay, we say that your client had bought a K-bar. You're saying he doesn't have one. We didn't find it in any of the searches or his possessions. There's no K-bar knife, but we know he purchased one. So where is it? We know where the sheath is, and I think that's how I said it. We know where a sheath is, but we don't have the knife. So where's his knife that he purchased? Remember me saying that, you guys? You wouldn't, TK Sass, you wouldn't have, if she just poked her, like come up the stairs from the first floor and poked her head around the corner, she could have seen Bethany laying there without seeing the red stuff, right? So let's try and mask our words, you guys, without seeing the red stuff, because where that red stuff was coming out of the wall was, you'd have to come up the stairs, come around that half banister that is protecting you from the stairs, go down the hall. The bathroom is on the right, and Zaina's room would be right in front of you. You would have to open her door and go to the left up against that wall. That's where the red stuff was dripping out on the outside. So you wouldn't have seen that if she just poked her head around and seen Xana laying on the floor. She probably thought she was passed out. You know, you wouldn't, probably wouldn't see the red stuff, you know, just by peeking around and seeing her laying on the ground there, thinking she passed out. I don't know. I wasn't there, so it's just a theory. Okay, so here we go. Facts. On November 13th, law enforcement responded to 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Attached is State's Exhibit S1. 4 victims were found deceased with apparent stab wounds, a K-bar knife sheath with the United States Marine Corps I'm sorry, you guys, for the cough. Logo was found laying next to one of the victims. Bryan Kohberger's DNA was found on the K-bar knife sheath found on the scene. That's the facts. Because no matter how they got there, when they compared the single source, okay, single source DNA, which means there's only one person's DNA on that sheath. If somebody else had stolen his knife or taken it or whatever, their DNA would have been on it too. Even if they had gloves on, there would have been other kinds of DNA or other kinds of stuff on it. Was single source. And that single source DNA, once Bryan Kohberger was arrested and they did the buccal swab, is a 99.999999 match to Bryan Kohberger. No matter how you cut it, no matter how you get there, that DNA on that knife sheath matches Bryan Kohberger. You can't get out of that. No matter what you throw at it. The only thing they could try and do is get it thrown out and say fruit of the poisonous tree, but that didn't work either. It doesn't matter what happens. That one single source, it's not multiple sources. One single source of DNA was found on that sheath, and it matches Bryan Kohberger. Okay. So on April 26th, the state applied for and was granted a search warrant for Bryan Kohberger's Amazon user activity. The search warrant was amended by Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall on May 8, 2023. A correct scrivener's error. Amended search warrant dated May 8, 2023, attached as Exhibit S2. Search warrant directed law enforcement to seize Amazon.com. Number 1, Bryan Kohberger's customer click activity pertaining to knives and accessories. 2, payment methods used. 3, details of items in carts to include all items added to the cart, all items removed or deleted from cart, or on the wish list or shopping baskets. 4, All suggestions made to the account. Thing is with Amazon, you guys, if you say, like, I went on there and that's where I bought my new computer. You know what? You know how many ads now I get on the side of my Amazon when I go on Amazon, say looking for, like, I just looked for a shower brush for in the shower to wash my back. I'm still getting pop-ups of, hey, you want another computer? You know, they're showing me pop-ups of computer, right? Suggestions. I've already got one. Anyway, that tends to follow things that you've purchased. Okay, the suggestions. So number 5, all records regarding reviews by other Amazon users viewed by Bryan Kohberger. So when you go on and you look at the reviews on an item, it shows in the Amazon history that you've done that. Okay. Advertising data, devices used to connect to his Amazon account, all accounts linked to that account. The search warrant was limited to March 20th, 2022 to March 30th, 2022, and November 1st, 2022 to December 6th. So I don't know why they got March, asked for a search warrant just for March. I don't know. I don't know why they would only ask for that date. Looking for anything regarded to knives, right? And then this one I do get November 1st to December 6th. I get this because if he wanted to purchase another one to replace it, so if he ever is questioned, oh yeah, I got a K-bar here. Look, here it is. You know what I mean? So I could see them searching here, but why didn't they expand this search March 2022 to March 30th, 2022? I don't know. The search warrant was served on May 10th, and the affidavit is attached as Exhibit S3. On June 27th, Amazon provided law enforcement responsive data for the dates requested for each of the above categories. The evidence was provided to the defendant as AV000388 on July 12th. On December 18th, oh, my son's birthday. On December 18th, 2024, the state disclosed Shane Cox, litigation and regulatory manager to law enforcement response, LER, for Amazon.com as a witness for the above evidence. As articulated in the disclosure, it is the state's position that Shane Cox's testimony is not expert testimony pursuant to Idaho Rules of Evidence 701. However, out of abundance of caution, the state disclosed Mr. Cox as an expert pursuant to Idaho Rules of Evidence 702 and 703. State made this... Slow down, Willow. And I've got a cough drop in my mouth too, so I'm trying to keep that from knocking around as I'm reading. The state made this strategic decision solely to ensure that the state was not precluded from calling Mr. Cox as a witness if the court subsequently made the determination that his testimony is based on specialized knowledge. On March 14, 2025, and in response to the court's January 24, 2025 instruction that more disclosures were needed, the state filed an amended disclosure. Argument. Okay, the defendant probably realized. Okay, so they're going through what the defendant is fighting here. I want to get to. Okay. Okay. Further in this case, the evidence at issue is complete. The defendant argues that the data the state has disclosed to the defendant is extremely narrow when compared to the more inclusive and broad warrants and subpoenas. Defense motion at 2, but this argument is incorrect. To confirm, the state has disclosed to the defendant all data, including clickstream data, that Amazon has produced in this case. The state narrowly tailored a search warrant for evidence regarding the crimes of homicide or burglary occurring at 1122 King Road. This included temporal limitations based on officers' investigations. So they did some kind of investigation behind the scenes that led them to these dates. Because he says right here, this included temporal limitations based on the officer's investigations, which limited the search from March 20th to March 30th, 2022. Time it was known, Bryan Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife with sheath and a sharpener from Amazon. So where did they get that information? Right? Right here. Who gave an officer this information that he purchased that knife between March 20th and March 30th? Okay? Because it says right here, this is the time it was known Bryan Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife with sheath and sharpener from Amazon. Right? And November 6th through December 6th, the time right before and after the homicides. Right, because you want to know if he's going to purchase another one to replace that, just in case he is ever questioned about having one of these knives, right? Kohberger's entire click history, items not related to the knives and accessory, were not relevant. True. Without any legal basis, the defendant claims that the state cherry-picked specific clicks or purchases out of the Amazon click history. This is simply not true unless you consider seeking only items of evidentiary value. Cherry-picking irrelevant click activity on Kohberger's account would not provide any relevant context to Kohberger's actual click activity. Example, purchase of a K-bar knife with sheath before the murders, and his click activity indicating a search for a knife with sheath after the murders. So, did he search for it again after the murders? Okay? So, for those of you, this is only page 5, you guys. I am not going through all of this. I will scroll through it. If you want to read through it all, I just wanted to show you guys. You can see all the ones I've got up at the top here. I've got tons more to show you. So I wanted to show you what is out there, okay? Applying the test for relevancy first, Kohberger's click activity, which shows the purchase of a K-bar knife and sheath before the homicides, makes it more probable than it would be without the evidence that the K-bar sheath found at the crime scene was Bryan Kohberger's. Second, Kohberger's click activity after the homicide makes it more probable than it would without the evidence that Kohberger had a reason to search for a K-bar knife and sheath after the homicides. So he did. He did look for another one again to maybe purchase it to replace the one that he just lost and had to get rid of, right? These facts are consequence to determining whether Bryan Kohberger committed the homicides at 1122 King Road, and the central question before the jury. The evidence is clearly relevant. So, conclusion. In conclusion, the state respectfully requests that this court rule on the Amazon data received in response to a search warrant, which includes click activity. But what else is down here? Okay, so this is the affidavit where he finds it. Oh, this is the affidavit, the probable cause. I'm just going to scroll through this because we've already covered this. This is the probable cause affidavit. I don't know why they attached it. That's why. Oh, look at this, you guys. Depiction showing Moscow and Pullman. Look at this. We now have color pictures. So they say he went this way. Depiction showing Elantra's path of travel, not to scale. Oh, wow. Look at this. White Elantra seen leaving WSU campus. So that's here or here? Because there's these red dots and there's yellow. White Elantra seen returning to WSU campus is in red. So this is the way he came back. And they got 1630 Northeast Valley Road. Is that where he lived? I think so. I'd have to go to my maps. So this is the way he came back up. Just as we said, this is the way he left. And then this is the way he came back up. Let's keep going. We're talking about when he was detained. I want to see if there's any more pictures. So like I said, if you guys want to read all of this, you can go back and pause Uniontown ID and then back into Pullman at approximately 5:30 a.m. Yeah, see, he went back to this scene of the crime. He was near the King Road residence again at 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. He went back to see if the cops were there and what was going on. Oh, what's this? Oh, did they block it out? Below is a description not to scale the possible route taken based off cellular site. So they followed his cellular phone. Here we go here. And he came across and he came back up. Now, why wouldn't you have just gone back this way? So like I said, if you guys do want to go back and read through all of this, you can scroll back and pause. I'm looking for more photos. Oh, look at this. What's this one say? Kohberger's, okay. Oh, this is after the Red Drums. When he went to Clarkston and everything, and the stores and everything that he went to. And he came down that same way that he had gone back up from Pullman down. What's this? What is this? What is this? Amazon. Oh, this is the warrant. This is the warrant. Okay, so this is the warrant. Okay, so that's that, you guys. That's about the K-bar. So now we know he did purchase the K-bar and attempted to maybe purchase one after the Red Drums. Okay, let's see this one. What's this? 13 pages. Oh my gosh. I should get my chat GPI and just get them to give me an overall of this. But I don't have it up right now. So anyway, okay. What's this one? Comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger. This is notice of defendant's supplemental response to state's alibi demand. So comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney of record, Nancy Taylor, public defender, hereby files a supplemental response to the demand for alibi in compliance. Okay, so this is Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, blah, 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 in June. See, remember I told you? I told you he was there in June. Everybody was saying, no, he didn't get there until August. No, he was there in June. He moved there in June. And Kaylee had her birthday bash in Pullman, Washington at the bar. That is where all the Washington State University people go. I got a video on that, you guys. The Coug. The Coug is the bar that all the Washington State University people go to. And that is where Kaylee had her birthday. Now, her birthday was in June or July. She had her birthday there. So did Kohberger see her there? And they said, no, he wasn't there in June. He only got there in August. No, I told you he got there in June. He moved to Washington in June of 2022. An avid runner, hiker, explored many areas of the Palusi. Of note, he explored Wawawe Park in July, and this became a favorite location. But the thing is, the GPS and CAS doesn't show him going to Wawawe Park. That's like 40 minutes the other direction. He never goes there. The GPS does not ever show him in that area. So anyway, we've heard all of this. She's going to go over, and this Cyray guy, he's going to be blown out of the water because Cyray, his technology and software has been abolished in many states because it's been found unreliable, not correct, and just junk. They call it junk science is what they call it. Um, he used to have a contract with the government, okay, for the prosecution and for the courts, and they totally got rid of him. They said that it was unreliable, it wasn't accurate. This is an ex-cop that says he's an engineer, but he's no engineer. And there were tons of cases that got overturned that defendants have been found guilty based on Cyray's GPS software or whatever. Their convictions got overturned, and there's more coming because his technology is considered junk science. Just a fun fact. Look it up. Look it up. Anyway, we've seen all this. So they're saying that they've given all the evidence that they need for the alibi. So let's go on to the next one. What's this one? 6 pages. Defendant's objection to state's motion in limine regarding the 911 call. So comes now Bryan Kohberger, by and through his attorneys of records, and hereby objects to the state's motion in limine to admit the 911 call and accompanying transcript. The state relies on the exceptions to the hearsay rule and effect on the listener. Mr. Kohberger's objection is grounded on his constitutional rights, 5, 6, and 14. Well, what about the victim's constitutional rights, right? And 5th, 6th, 14th Amendments and everything else. What about their rights, right? So now he doesn't want the 911 call being able to be admitted in as evidence. The state correctly recognizes the statements on the 911 call are hearsay. Idaho rules, and there's been tons of 911 calls played in every case. But like I said, you guys, you got to give Ann Taylor credit. Although she irritates us to no end with all of this that she knows is going to be denied, she has to at least try, right? So she's doing everything possible to get every piece of evidence she can tossed. It's not going to happen. I do not believe that the judge is going to grant this. It's going to be denied. The state alleges statements fall within the excited utterance or present sense impressions. They do. Okay. She goes on to explain her version. The 911 call did not come at 4:30 in the morning when DM and BF communicated with each other and ended up in the same bedroom. This 911 call came 8 hours later. This call came after DM and BF each made calls, corresponded through text and other messaging to family and friends. I thought you said she didn't do that. Remember back here? Remember back here in this one? Remember back here? Neither of them called friends or family. Remember that? Now she's saying in this filing, this 911, they didn't call. She said back here they didn't call, but now she's saying this call came after DM and BF each made calls corresponding through text and other messaging to family and friends. The 911 call came only after friends arrived. See? Remember I told you I haven't gone through this yet, you guys, so this is all new to me too. But remember in the first one I told you, I said all these on Snapchat and Instagram, like they're messaging and putting things on Instagram and Snapchat. Are they trying to get people like you try and call them? Maybe they'll answer you and and then do these friends just show up, right? Obviously, that's what happened. The 911 call came only after friends arrived. Bethany initiated the 911 call, and thereafter the phone was passed from person to person. The state lays out only one statement as an excited utterance and statements of EA. Who's EA? I still don't know who EA is. When the phone was passed to her. Oh, this is a female. EA is a female. But I still don't know who EA is. When the phone was passed to her. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. The state claims these words are excited utterance because they explain why Zena was passed out. State fails to take into account why this statement was made. The same transcript and page reflect this dispatcher asking exactly what was going on. EA stated, one of the roommates who passed out and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up. So they're trying to get all these statements on the 911 call thrown out, saying that they're not applicable framework for excited utterances. The judge is going to deny this one too. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to scroll through this slowly. There's a lot blocked out here too. Reviewing the grand jury testimony shows the statement misplaces reliance on at least some of the statements about Zena. The state ignores previous sworn testimony when it claims a 911 call contains present tense impressions because the declarants were observing XK. See, that's why I think that Dylan or Bethany came up and just poked their head, like once they got to the top of the stairs, just poked their head around that little half wall and seen Xana laying on the ground. So they went back downstairs and it's like, okay, she's laying on the ground. She's out. Like, you know what I mean? But a lot of this is blocked out. The state relies on the conclusion reached by John Judge in denying Mr. Kohberger's motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment. Mr. Kohberger disagrees with the conclusion and the state's reliance on the findings. Judge's findings do not include a full analysis of the applicable exception accompanied by the background information. Oh my God. So now that this judge isn't there to defend what he said, what he meant, how he meant it, and why, they're going to try and use that judge, the first judge, in their little scheme here to try and get this thrown out. So, but I'm telling you, they will call Judge as a witness if they have to, the prosecution. The 911 calls contains little that fits in. This is what they're saying. The 911 call contains little that fits with the exception to the rule against hearsay. The statements that they saw a man in the house are testimonial in nature. Witnesses will need to be in court to testify to satisfy constitutionality protected area of the confrontation. Well, she is going to be in court, right? Mr. Kohberger raises the same objections to the transcript being admitted. So he doesn't want the transcript in there either. If the transcript is admitted, the court should only admit a version that is certified by a court reporter. Mr. Kohberger has a certified transcript prepared and provides it as an exhibit to this motion for use should the court allow the transcript to be admitted. Mr. Kohberger rejects the state's motion. So they got their own expert to listen to the 911 call and say what it said, right? We've already gone over what the transcript said. Okay, so that's it. That's it there. Okay. Let's see. We're going to try and get through as much as we can here, you guys. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this because we've already gone over it. Um, okay, this one's only 3 pages, so let's go over it. Defendant's objection to state's motion in limine. Alternative perpetrator evidence. Comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney of record, and he hereby objects to the state's motion in limine regarding alternative perpetrator evidence filed on February 21st, 2025. More specifically, the state seeks an order prohibiting Mr. Kohberger from offering alternative perpetrator evidence or argument without first satisfying the court that any such evidence is relevant and admissible pursuant to IRE 401, 402, 403. For the reasons set forth below, Mr. Kohberger objects to this motion. If they have to call Judge John Judge to clarify things, yes, they can. They can depose him as to what he meant, said exactly with what Ann Taylor just filed. I just got rid of it. I should have kept it up, I guess. But yes, they can. They can depose him. Okay. For the reasons set forth, below. Argument. Mr. Kohberger has the right to present a full and complete defense for the crimes for which he is accused. She's going to cite another case. This right is protected by the 6th Amendment of the United States Constitution and made applicable to the states through the Due Process Clause and the 14th Amendment. When presenting a full and complete defense of the crimes charged, Mr. Kohberger should be given an opportunity to proffer evidence as an alternative perpetrator so that such evidence can be properly evaluated for relevancy and admissibility under Idaho rules of evidence. The timing of when an offer of proof is made is not clear. Go figure. The Court of Appeals explained that the offer of proof was made during the trial. Okay, 2 unpublished opinions provide guidance that a typical timing of an offer of proof is during trial. See this case, okay? In Buck, the state filed a motion in limine to exclude alternative perpetrator evidence, but the court ultimately reserved the ruling on the motion and ordered the defense to provide an offer of proof before it engaged in questioning on the issue. The state argues that literally thousands of tips regarding possible perpetrators were received by law enforcement during the course of the investigation, and that none of these tips were substantiated with the exception of the information regarding the defendant. The state is correct that over 45,000 tips have been disclosed and tips continue to come in daily. This case is full of alternative perpetrators, and she's got a little footnote here, 1. We'll read that. The state has chosen to focus on Mr. Kohberger and its own pearl. Mr. Kohberger will produce offers of proof related to many alternate perpetrators in this case that will meet Idaho rules of evidence 401, 402, 403. Many alternate perpetrators can be connected to the crime. Conclusion. The court should deny the state's motion in limine, alternate perpetrator evidence. Alternatively, the court should reserve a ruling on this motion until Mr. Kohberger provides an offer of proof that can be evaluated under the standard for admissibility set out in State versus Meiser. I don't know what the court's going to do with this one. It's a toss-up. He may just outright deny it, but he may also reserve a ruling on it. Okay, so let's see what her footnote is here. See sealed memorandum in support of motion to suppress genetic information. Alternate perpetrator evidence. So you're going to try and see that somebody else on your family tree did it? Right? Because they're trying to say that they're going to show proof that there could be somebody else, right? And they have this little footnote, alternative perpetrator. And that footnote says, see the sealed memorandum in support of a motion to suppress the genetic information. Defendant's objection to state's motion in limine alternative perpetrator. What does that mean? Are you trying to say that it could have been somebody else that was on your family tree? I don't know. It's weird that it's sealed and it's a memorandum in support of a motion to suppress, and it's going to be regarding the genetic information. Page 3 of that from November 18th, 2024. I don't know. Hello, everybody coming in. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you guys all here. All right. So let's go on. Let's get rid of that. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to get, this is 6 pages. This one is, oh my gosh, this one's 23. This is about his psych evaluation, you guys. She's trying to keep it out. But she wants to be able to bring in um, some of the evidence regarding this, but she wants some kept out. So we're not going to go over that. It's 33 pages. We'll go over that another time. Let me see what else we can go over. This is 5 pages. Oh, we got to go over this one for sure. Let's go over this one right now. And then we'll go back. I think this is okay. Let's just briefly touch on this, and then we'll go over this one because this is good. Okay, this is 6 pages. We're not gonna read through the whole thing, but this is basically they are objecting to the state being able to use the traffic stop on August 21st. So I will scroll through this. So you guys, if you do want to read through this at another time, you can go back and rewatch the video. I want to get to the next one because it's good. They're giving all these different reasons why that traffic stop on August 21st should be excluded. The prosecution wants that traffic stop in because it was right down the road from the 1122 King Road house. So that's why they want it in. Okay, so if you want to go back and read that at a later date, I scrolled through it for you. Here we go. So this is the defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine. Admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. This is ridiculous. They all agreed to have this house ripped down, right? Let me see. I'll give it a second in the chat. Right? I agree. And I want $1 million. Okay. So, do you guys remember they both, the defense wanted it gone like within like a month. They wanted it gone, get rid of it. The prosecution got an order from the judge to keep it standing because Bryan Kohberger had not waived his right to a speedy trial. So they got an order for the next 6 months that what the house was to be kept intact, in place. Nothing was to happen with that house, etc. Right? So this is what's happening. Comes now Bryan C. Kohberger by and through his attorneys of records and hereby objects to the state's motion in limine re admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support to allow a 3D demonstrative aid. So now they're saying, whew, the house is gone. Guess what? Now we don't want you using that 3D of the house that you guys went in and did. The demonstrative aid the state seeks permission to use is not to scale replica of the house where the killings took place. This is not a demonstrative aid like a graph or a chart or enlarged photograph. This is a model built from an examination and analysis of the house. Upon learning that the state intended to have a model of the crime scene built for the demonstrative purposes in October. Oh, so they're having a miniature house built. Whoo! Whoo! See? Have a model of the crime scene built. So they're going to have like a miniature, like a dollhouse type thing built. So they don't only have the 3D, they're going to have this miniature thing, right? The defense requests a specific discovery. Objection to state's MLA demonstrative exhibit 1A, 11th supplemental discovery request attached exhibit J, number 241, and the state's response attached exhibit 241. None have ever been produced other than a single police report discussing the intent to build a model until over 226 gigabytes of discovery was delivered to Mr. Kohberger on March 14, 2025. I don't know. After the discovery deadline, the state sought a stipulation to this exhibit. Mr. Kohberger declined. So they didn't agree to it. That's what a stipulation is something that both sides are going to agree to. So the state sought this stot. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get through this because I got to leave at 2, you guys. The state sought a stipulation to this exhibit. Mr. Kohberger declined. Um, the state disclosed a drawing alleging it is a drawing of the model that will be built. It was only 3 days ago that the disclosed who was building the model, the credentials of those who are building the model, and the data underlying the model. The state's expert disclosures did not discuss the use of a model. In order to ensure this is a fair and accurate model, the defense will need to hire its own expert to evaluate the model once it's done, conduct an independent investigation into the underlying data, potentially develop more or different evidence than the litigant, and the admissibility of the specifics of the model based on that investigation. The state has delayed this for so long, despite specific requests for discovery and knowledge of the upcoming trial date, that it prejudices Mr. Kohberger's ability to investigate and challenge the model, and it should therefore be excluded. Okay, so they're just saying that this is what happened, that they were only given this on March 14th. I do believe that they were given this and were told of this and had been working on it since 2023. So I do think that there was something in the witness list that they did talk about this. I'm going to scroll through the rest because now she's just complaining about it and citing other cases. But I do think that it was already disclosed. Okay, so the bottom line is Mr. Kohberger does not have the opportunity to confront the evidence through prepared counsel and informed experts. Allowing such evidence violates Mr. Kohberger's right guaranteed under the United States Constitution, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the Idaho Constitution. I think this is going to be denied too. So we still got quite a few more to go through. I've got still 3 up here, but I do have to get going, you guys. Maybe we'll do another live on this next week, go through some of the other documents, but I think I covered some of the ones that were of the most importance. April 9th, you guys, is going to be one hell of a year. It's going to go over several days by the looks of all these motions and everything else that are being filed. So, with that, Carol, it says, I wonder if it's going to be accurate insofar as a body location. It should be. It should be, right? Like they have 3D imaging, everything. They have the photos, they have everything. Photos would have been taken before anything was moved. So they have photos of where Ethan was, where Xana was, where Maddie, and, we've gotten a little bit of information over time. We found out that Kaylee was up in the back corner, almost like trying to get away from him, defending himself. We found out how Madison Mogan was laying. We found out that Xana was the one by the door. There's a lot of different theories in that out there. I believe that Ethan was found on the bed in that back area where the red stuff was seeping out, and Xana was found in the doorway. That's what I think. So we'll have to see how accurate it is once it goes to trial. I'll see if I'm right. I also believe that Kaylee and Madison were first. He went upstairs first. He came downstairs somehow. Remember, right at the beginning, I said, before all of this information came out, all the probable cause and everything, I said, you know what? She probably came out of that room to bring her DoorDash garbage to the kitchen and seen him coming down the stairs, and he chased her back into the bedroom. That's what I think happened. And then he leaves. That's exactly what I think happened. I've called it since the beginning. But we will see. And I do believe it was Xana that was at the door, that was found at the door. So, with that being said, you guys, we are going to wrap it up sometime next week. I've got tons of stuff, you guys, I got to catch up on. Summer Dawn has also asked me a favor to do a read on somebody that she knows. that's missing somewhere. Anyway, there's that. I've got to get my snow tires taken off. Our snow is basically gone now. I have an appointment for that tomorrow afternoon that I may have to cancel. Um, and I have some stuff with my insurance I got to take care of. So I've also got the Layla Santinello read that I've got to do update on. People are asking for an update also on Joshua Ribe and the Friends. So I'm going to be doing that read too. So I've got a lot on my plate. I've got to be back here for 4 o'clock for the premiere of Sophia Franklin. The read the private investigator wanted me to give update on. That is going to premiere at 4 o'clock. Hope to see you all here. I will be in chat watching right along with you. I will see you guys all then. I love you guys to the moon and back. Kate Bell, email me. I've got this ready to go. I'm going out tomorrow. It has to be done by tomorrow. So email me, please. I will talk to you guys later. Please take care. Always stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings. I love you guys to the moon and back. Bye bye for now.